Hi, my name is Kate from LifeSpark Nutrition, and I'm a nutritionist. And just wanted to do this video because I think, like many New Zealanders and many people around the world, we're just getting a little bit frustrated why there is limited public health promotion coming from our governments. Yes, we get the wearing a face mask, washing our hands, social distancing, which can help reduce the spread, but there is nothing, or nothing at least substantial, that is really promoting the health and well-being of people and citizens to improve their immune system right now. I feel like we are the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. So this is a video just to really kind of re-motivate, maybe re-engage you to get back into those health and well-being routines, like exercise, like getting outside, being in nature, and just really eating well. Because I'm going to run through a few key nutrients and just give you a few little tips about maybe what you should have in your pantry in terms of like your toolkit, for not only to be proactive, improve your immune system now, but what happens if you get COVID or even RSV. I had that a couple of weeks ago, same with my toddler. So I'll show you some of the things that we did to help us get over that pretty quickly. So let's talk about zinc first. It has been well researched, okay? And it is one of the most crucial nutrients that help with improving our immune system. In fact, even the World Health Organization says that at least a third of the world's population is affected by zinc deficiency. Okay, and even in the journal articles such as PubMed and Frontiers of Immunology, discusses that the role of zinc is huge, has such a central part in the immune system. It actually affects every part of that immune system. And what I mean by that is that it can actually protect our bodies from preventing the virus from actually entering the human body. So our tissues and our cells, if our cells are nice and tight, it just means that viruses are not able to enter cells, and also being able to sort of replicate from one cell and jump to one cell to the next, to the next, to the next. We also have, if you've got good zinc levels, it also means that things like your mucosal barrier, so the mucus in, say, your nose and the back of your throat, they also have special antiviral and antibacterial properties in them. So they can actually disarm viruses and bacteria. So that's how zinc is so important for even something as small as your saliva and your mucosal barrier. And even things like the sort of villi in your lungs and also in your nasal passages, they're very good at getting the mucus all off from away from the walls, so that the virus is cleared effectively. So what we know is that if you are deficient in zinc, you do experience your susceptibility for what I'm trying to say is you open yourself up to a number of different pathogens, so viruses and bacteria, and even something like your macrophages that are part of your immune system. They're like the Pac-Man, and even they're not effective. So if you've got viruses or bacteria, they're very useful in sort of chomping down and engulfing them. Even those don't function properly if you are zinc deficient. Interestingly enough, is that also your antibodies, so in terms of long-lasting antibodies and an immunological response, is not activated thoroughly if you are zinc deficient. So even suboptimal levels of zinc can affect, it's not just sort of COVID-19, but also things like can increase your risks of cancer, autoimmune conditions, and just risk, sore, so you cut yourself, you're slow to heal, and diabetes. There's a number of different risk factors that low zinc levels can have in quite a wide variety of health conditions. So who would be at risk of zinc deficiency? Well, probably a lot of people who may be in lockdowns. Maybe you are eating ad hoc, you're not eating balanced meals, maybe not going to the supermarket regularly, or possibly just eating a lot of takeaways if that's available to you. So really people with malnutrition. Also, people that like vegans and vegetarians can have a risk of zinc, just because zinc is better absorbed from animal sources. And if you sort of predominantly get a lot of your zinc from, say, whole grains and legumes, well, they actually contain anti-nutrients called phytates that can inhibit the absorption of zinc. So not only you're less likely to absorb zinc, but you've got those things to also inhibit zinc absorption. So vegans and vegetarians, probably a supplement may be beneficial for you. Even things like elderly, they generally have higher risks of zinc. And so maybe you want to have a conversation with your elderly parents about, their eating habits. I'll list some zinc sources shortly. But yeah, just maybe we're having a conversation about what kind of zinc sources they're having on a day-to-day basis, and maybe actually having a zinc supplement would be beneficial for them. Definitely people who have autoimmune conditions, that would be a good idea to have a zinc supplement. And if you have issues, digestive issues, say Crohn's, celiac disease, or IBS, you may have an absorption there in the gut and actually absorbing enough zinc. So part of it is sort of an absorption, and the other part is getting enough into the diet. And so you can actually go onto the Nutrition Foundation website. They'll give you a list of how much you need for your age group. Okay, so from children to elderly, pregnant women, lactating. So that's quite a good resource and tell you how much that you need every day. But where do we get zinc from? So luckily it is actually quite widely dispersed throughout our food sources, and a lot of it does come from our animal protein sources. So like your lean red meats, chicken, shellfish is a really good one, particularly oysters. But we do get it also from seeds, nuts. I've mentioned legumes and whole grains. So, whole grain bread, quinoa, millet, buckwheat. Dairy is another good source of zinc. So, just making sure that you're getting, having some yogurt on your muesli, and maybe having a smoothie with milk. There is, you can get it from cheese. So you can also get it from potatoes and dark chocolate, actually. So we're not talking about sugary chocolate, but 75% and above dark chocolate, you'll get zinc as well. So a wide range of our protein sources, eggs, and those animal protein sources, as well as we do get from quite a lot of food sources, plant-based sources, but it's just not well absorbed. So if you are more of a plant-based diet, then you just need to eat more of those zinc-containing foods, as well as just be aware that the absorption. So one good way I would say is maybe just get your zinc levels checked. A sort of a common sign that you can do is if you need to add a lot of salt to food. So maybe your taste buds aren't picking up a lot of flavor. That can be a common sign for zinc inefficiency, maybe not necessarily deficient, but you can go to your GP and they can check your zinc levels in your blood. but actually quite a simple test is a taste test. And so basically it's just like a little tonic of zinc, and if you can taste it, then that's good. If you find that you don't taste much, that's normally a sign of a deficiency. So even I see that Life pharmacies are doing these taste tests, but if you've got your whole family at home, or maybe you've got quite a few people living with you, I can send you out a zinc tally test, we call it. So that's $20 plus postage, and then you can test everybody in your family when it comes to zinc, and it can actually test the different levels too, whether you might be deficient or just inefficient. So that'll give you a good sort of starting point about how much more that you need to put into your diet, or maybe a supplement. So what I normally have at home is a zinc supplement. It's actually got a vitamin C with it as well, so that makes it great, 2 for 1 really. And this is really good, especially if you so when I had RSV not long ago, I doubled down and definitely took a zinc supplement. So you're really wanting, if you're feeling a bit unwell, the equivalent of say 15 milligrams of zinc daily, up to about 40 milligrams. So if you were really feeling unwell, 40 milligrams seems to be a protocol that I've seen quite a few doctors sort of overseas promote with COVID as well. But generally, a few times a week, you could just top yourself up as a preventative. And this is really good because I like the Metagenics one, because it is a powder form, so really easy to sprinkle in on children's food, in their yogurts, taste orange, with smoothies, especially when, if you are sick, you don't necessarily lose your appetite, and it's easy just to put that into different things. So definitely I would advise, zinc is a very also cost-effective supplement, and you can get this at most places. So yeah, get yourself some zinc. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you is just even in regards to vitamin C. Okay, that is something that you could look. We get a vitamin C from such a good range of fruit and vegetables. So if you're eating your sort of 5 to 7 plus a day, your recommended vitamin C intake would be really good. I mean, we even get it from broccoli and capsicums, and so lots of different vegetables. So again, it's just making sure that you're just not snacking, picking on crackers and cheese all day, and then you're not really wanting any sort of main meals that might contain a lot of vegetables. Really have a big focus on those vegetables and quality proteins. But still, again, I take vitamin C, not every day because I do try and eat well, but certainly when I got sick, I definitely boosted my vitamin C levels. So again, they're really cost effective. I would definitely have this in your pantry, because when you do get sick, you lose your appetite, so might not feel like eating a lot of fruit and vegetables. You need just something that, especially if you've got a sore throat or something. So these are pretty cost effective, and I would take between even around 2,000. Well, it depends on your age group. Children obviously smaller, but adults at least 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. This is a good one. I like it. A little bit more expensive, but it's got quercetin in it as well, or bioflavonoids that we tend to call it in New Zealand, and that is very potent anti-inflammatory as well. So that one I do like. The other things that I think are very important, which you may have seen time and time again in different videos, is vitamin D. And vitamin D, we now know, regardless of COVID or not, but is so important in so many different conditions, even type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Okay, we're seeing those who have those conditions have a far greater deficiency in vitamin D than the standard population. So really you want to make sure. I think even the last New Zealand survey that was done, 1 in 3 New Zealand children had too little vitamin D in their blood, and almost half of adults were deficient in vitamin D. So this is so simple when we know that it's so important for healthy bones, teeth, your muscles, you're regulating your blood sugar levels. heart and blood vessels and your lungs and your airways. Why is this not being promoted? I mean, even if they think that it's no correlation to COVID, I mean, it's going to help people regardless. And it has been in there's really good research, and I can show you these researchers, these papers, if you'd like more evidence about vitamin C and other respiratory conditions. There was a big study done with just a few years back with vitamin D and children, and those who have low vitamin D levels have higher risks of respiratory conditions. So we know that vitamin D is really correlated with respiratory conditions. So it'll be pretty similar with COVID. So what I'm saying to you is if you are concerned that maybe we have just been in winter, okay, and those in the South Island are more at risk than the North Island, but you maybe if you think you're dark skinned, so you're at a higher risk, and you keep indoors a lot of the time, it's really cold, I would absolutely get your vitamin D levels checked, and just so you know where you're at in terms of your starting point. So do you just need to maintain it with 1,000 milligrams a day, or sorry, international units a day, or maybe you're sitting above the 50 nanomole per liter mark, and just getting a little bit of sunlight is going to be the best thing for you. So, sunlight is really, the UV rays is how we get most of our vitamin D, and that is a very cost-effective way. So again, don't know why the government's not actually promoting this, that just getting enough vitamin D would be really beneficial. So how much do we need? Well, in winter, it's about 30 minutes a day, okay, with no sunblock. It's not going to go through sunblock or your clothing. And then in summer, sort of December to February, it's about 8 to 10 minutes, okay? That's skin exposed, no sunscreen. So it's not short amounts, but it's so crucial for your health and well-being. And yeah, even now, like I've got vitamin D in my little toolkit ready to go. And so when I got RSV too, I just took an extra dose as well. So about 2,000 I use a day. And geez, me and my toddler, we recovered pretty fast. So I think it's really important just to make sure that you have those things available. The other thing that can be really helpful that I would say is something like curcumin. So we know curcumin has a huge range of benefits, not only in the immune system, anti-inflammatory. So again, some of us some people who get COVID get very inflamed, okay? And then your chest and your airways are very inflamed. And so sometimes curcumin can be, so that's the compound that we get from turmeric, can be very, very helpful in actually reducing inflammation. So again, you can get this at most pharmacies, and I think the supplements are a little bit better when it comes to the turmeric, because curcumin is not well absorbed, and also it is quickly metabolized and exited from the body. So we know that black pepper does help. However, sometimes the supplements, they have all these in it, not only a stronger dose, but all the other compounds that'll make it more bioavailable to the body, and that can be really helpful. So numerous times sometimes I get sick, and this has been very, very helpful. The other thing that I think would be, with children, I would still say getting some zinc is really important for children. Obviously just read the label to make sure that you don't overdose it. Even something like this, I use the Harker's ViroGuard quite often. And I also give my toddler cod liver oil, which has got the vitamin D and it's got a vitamin A in it as well. So again, then your children, especially young children, probably are more at risk. Your toddlers tend to run around outside. They like being outside, whereas babies are generally all covered up. So possibly a little vitamin D drops for babies might be best practice to have at home, just in case COVID does or RSV comes to the household. Other things that I would say is really good is sometimes like a throat gargle, betadine. Again, just double check the package, make sure you got no contraindications with taking these things. It's just a gargle. So if you do notice that you get a sore throat, just get onto it. Don't let it fester and then affect the rest of your cells. If you have a gargle, and you could do a salt gargle, but betadine is really helpful for killing bacteria and viruses. That's a win. The other thing that I would say is something like nasal sprays. So there's really good research that nasal sprays can also help flush out viruses, because if it is in the mucosal area, it then can just flush it out so it doesn't sort of stick. And so even something like a saline spray, this is one that uses xylitol in it. This is actually hoping to get FDA approved, so they've gone the extra step, the Xclear. However, even I think Otrivine does a saline spray. So washing, if you're somebody that is around people often, okay, or maybe you've been to the supermarket, even though you're wearing your mask, probably a good idea is to just regularly, even once, twice a day, is flush out that nasal passages with some saline spray. And lastly, I just want to also promote maybe the use of magnesium, because a lot of people are feeling down, a lot of people are feeling stressed, okay? And sometimes, while we do get magnesium from a broad range of food sources, again, maybe ad hoc eating, you're just feeling really down, you just don't want to eat, or you've lost your appetite a little bit, sometimes that's when supplements are helpful. And what I'm finding with many of my clients as well is high doses of a good quality magnesium is really important, because magnesium has over 300 roles in the body. Part of it is the immune system, but also part is helping produce our neurotransmitters, one being, like serotonin and GABA. So GABA is actually like a nice relaxant and calming neurotransmitter. So it can really alleviate that sense of anxiety and anxiousness and tension, nervousness, sort of low moody issues that might be going on right now with all the lockdowns and everything. So definitely, if you can get some B vitamins, I like to use the Metagenics Carmex. Why? Because it's literally got a lot of the B vitamins in it, and what we know from B vitamins is that they're also very important for your central nervous system and your mood and your cognitive performance. So really, if you a B complex and a good dose of magnesium would be really helpful if you're just feeling anxious, down, and just low mood. So our herbal supplements as well, maybe ashwagandha or withania, there's a few others there, but definitely from a nutrient point of view, your magnesium, and obviously just really double downing on lots of those leafy greens as well, nuts and seeds, quality protein. So getting back into eating a really healthy, nutritious diet is very important. So I hope you've found this useful, and just message me. You can check out, if you would like more information, just pop over to my website, www.lifespark.co.nz, and I can actually send you a immune healthy eating guide, and that way you can it's got some recipes in it and sort of like a little schedule about what to have in breakfast, lunches, and dinners that would involve a lot of the nutrients that I have spoken about. So yes, hope that has been useful, and let's have these conversations. The vaccine is not the end all. We need to be promoting healthy eating, and possibly some supplements to help people if they are deficient, vitamin D and zinc in particular. Okay, so have those conversations with your family and your loved ones.